We're looking at you, Raji Ryan Singh, the best show host in the world, and you at home. Welcome to another edition of my Southern Exposure, or I should say episode, because there's so much drama that follows us all around in the world. They should all be considered episodes, that's for sure. Season number 3. Episode number 11. We have one episode left, which hopefully will not end in a someone having a heart attack, which could be. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. There could be an episode. But anyways, all joking aside, today is March 29th. Welcome to the first day of being 40 and over in the state of Florida to be able to get a COVID vaccination. If you feel so inclined, I am very happy for you. I will not be in that line, but let's toss it over to the most beautiful woman in the world, Raji Narayan Singh, to see what she has going on today.
Well, I was in that line and I had my first shot today, FYI. I thought I would surprise you here on the show. So far I'm feeling okay. I know probably it'll hit me a little later because my arm's still kind of sore. But but yes, oh yeah, you have to take a drink on that, right? But yeah, so I had my first COVID shot. I go back in a month for my second, and I'll let you know how it works out. You know, Joseph said hopefully next week, our last episode of season 3, there won't be like a heart attack situation. So you know what? I better start knocking on wood.
Well, I think you might need to knock on the wood a little bit south of the border.
Anyway, I just want to welcome everyone back to another edition or episode of my Southern Exposure. And we got a lot of juicy stuff to talk to you about. I hope you had a great week. And I think we just should go ahead and dive on in. Joseph, what's the first topic on the list?
The agenda is quite fierce, but I do have to take a little divergence and ask about a certain little gossip girl that was out in town that I heard about with a couple of her friends.
I wonder who that.
What kind of dish was going on? What kind of dish was going on at that gossip girl table?
Honey, they said they'd kill me if I told. I swore to secrecy, but it was so fun hearing all the juicy dirt.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing. Okay. So,
community.
No, that's good. That's good. I was just joking. I don't want to know the details. You know me. I don't need to know details, but I like the build up to it. So
build.
We can have a little convo on our own, separate, from everybody else. We'll have our own little conversation so we can find out exactly what's going on
you mean no
in the town,
so that you can find out. I already know.
Exactly. you know I'm a nosy bitch. I can't help it. I cannot help it. Like if there's a police car that goes down my block, I'm like, I walk out the door. I'm like, where are you going?
Where you going?
If there's an ambulance that comes down and then they screech and stop, I'm like, are they okay? Are they okay? Because I mean, I know everybody on the block, like everybody does. We all know each other. So, but I like to get I gotta live vicariously through other people temporarily, right?
That's right.
temporarily.
Especially
I
with
still
COVID,
gotta
right?
still gotta live vicariously through other people until things get more safe. Which I do have a little story that I will share a little bit later about that, but let's jump into the topics of the day. First of all, there's so many to go to. I don't know which one to go to first, but I'm gonna go in the way that I wrote them down. So my question for you is, when the quote unquote insurrection happened on January 6th, there was no pre-warning about there being a problem in the media at all. There was no advance warning about them sending in National Guard, nothing. However, now that African American people want to support and peacefully protest for Floyd's murder, 2,500 National Guard members were already deployed, and it was already a canned response in the mass media. Out of curiosity, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's obviously it's rooted in racism and stereotypes of race. You know, the reason why there weren't the National Guards called out in advance for the event on January 6th is because, you know, they're all white folks. And you know, the mentality is, oh, you know, of course, because they're white, they're going to be orderly and, you know, follow the rules and laws, right? And then flip over to this event or this situation. The stereotype is that Black people are going to get out there and act the fool and, you know, break the law and become violent, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I think that it's so deep rooted in the core of this country because it was built basically on racism. You know, the backs of many different hundreds and hundreds of slaves, thousands and thousands of slaves. So, you know, you can't get away from the history. And I know people want to say, well, it's time to move on. Yes, of course it is. If you live in the past, you can't move to the future. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge, I mean, I'm just only being real about it. I mean, do you agree with me or no?
Oh, completely. I completely agree with you. That's for sure. The first part that I have a problem with is that it seems like the National Guard is only sent out when there's an LGBTQ event or a person of color event. So in some relation to this that I think is beyond ridiculous, but it was with the old administration of the orange-faced monster that I can't wait to see put into prison as long as all of his children go with him. And the same, they can have their own encampment somewhere, not on this planet. Hopefully they can all be shipped to Uranus, like another planet. That would be perfect. So I think all of the orange-faced monster and the rest of its followers can all just go live on Uranus because they clearly only care about being self-centered. And the best thing about an anus is that it's really self-centered. So they should be very happy in that nice tight spot. But I think it's kind of ironic that the people who had a problem with people of color going to go ahead and be around other people and they plan ahead for that, for a peaceful protest. For this case. And I'm not going to even mention the evil demon who killed Floyd, because that evil demon does not even need to have his name mentioned. Because the important thing is George Floyd was murdered. The focus should be on that. Nothing else should be going on. Nothing else about all the other hot topics and this, that, and the other. The focus is George Floyd was murdered after being kneeled on for 9 minutes on his neck in video, or I should say on video. And that's the fact of the matter. So it doesn't change that that happened. You can not want to talk about it, but it doesn't make the difference that it didn't actually happen. It actually did happen. So you can say, oh, we don't want to talk about it because that's not a good thing. Tough fucking shit. A white guy kneeled on someone's neck for 9 minutes to kill them. How about we just flip some shit around? I'm just saying, I'm just suggesting. Like I already posted on someone else's posting that they did. And I got like 20 or 30 positive responses to it. I said, oh, okay. So, well, apparently, you know, oh, it was a different post, but it was along the same similar thing. A white guy that kills somebody else. So I said, there was a photograph of a white guy walking down the street with guns, an AK-47 and a gun on his hip. I said, and then the other person had posted it and said something along the lines of, what would you do or say? And my response was, well, quote unquote, you can pull it up. Just Google my name, Joseph Manuel Bello, on Facebook. Tons of stuff that you will not agree with, but if you don't like it, fuck you. I don't care. Free speech. So the fact of the matter is, I said, well, if he was a white guy, he must be right because he has a gun. He must have an actual license for that gun because he's a white man walking down the middle of the street.
Yeah.
And if he killed somebody, then apparently he killed that person because that person was bad or doing something wrong. And if that person wasn't doing something wrong, then what they should do is shift the focus from the person who killed the person onto the victim. Because that victim must have done something wrong. They must have a criminal record. They must have stolen. They must have done drugs. They must have done something horrible because the white guy could not be wrong, apparently. And if the white guy was wrong, then you know what we need to do? We need to hold hands in prayer because we must have failed the white boy. We must have failed that white boy as a nation. We need to band together and pray. Oh, good goodness, we got to pray because the white boy needs some help and prayer. Oh my goodness, he needs some prayer because, you know, apparently we must have failed him or her because they felt so inclined to do something like this. That's my point. That's the hypocrisy with what's going on. So with what happened on January 6th, no alerts, no National Guard, but because we're having a court case about a white man killing somebody, we got to alert the National Guard. And there were flight patterns, I should say there were flight bookings to go into Washington, D.C. days before the insurrection of, I think actually that might be the best erection that this old orange-faced monster ever had, because having that many people surrect what he cannot actually erect apparently, because it's so short. I guess that was a really powerful thing for that individual. And I hope that you're watching this, Donnie, because I think you're a fucking douchebag and you should rot in hell. Anyway, so that's just my personal perspective. That's not for Raji to agree with or chime in. So that's just from me to you, Donnie. I'm watching you. So I can't wait to see you in Orange and Orange 2021. Anyway, so, but I think that it's ironic that when it's people of color that are trying to fight against being murdered, 2,500 National Guard members get pushed out. But when it's white people going to undermine our election process, crickets.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely a double standard. To be the devil's advocate, for lack of a better phrase, I mean, yes, we know that when this sort of thing happens, in the past, there have been riots that have taken place. So, that's probably what they're going to say. That would be their argument. Well, based on the history, when these people get together, a lot of times what happens if a court case doesn't go in their favor, they riot. So that's me being the devil's advocate. And there's some truth to it, but at the same time, there's good and bad in every race. And the systemic racism in this country plays a big role in the way people react. And hence, them not calling the National Guard prior to the 6th of January to have them there, and them having the National Guards ready to go for this whole Floyd situation. So it's but it just runs deep. I don't know if we'll ever get past race in this country because of the fact of all of the many years of slavery and Jim Crow and that happened. And maybe one day it will happen, but it just goes, there's so many layers to it. And it is pervasive in our system, in the American system. So I do want to discuss this, not to change the subject, but another thing that really pissed me off this week was Arkansas and what they did. They passed a bill that, effective as of September, a doctor can refuse treatment to an LGBTQ person if they choose to, for their religious beliefs. Okay, now I thought doctors took what was called the Hippocratic oath, and that, like, right away, that's the first thing I thought of. And all it is to do that. Laws like that, all they do is they continue to ostracize our community, our LGBTQ community, and single us out and make life more difficult for us. Because, not to say that all the doctors are going to do that, because, I'm trusting that doctors have morals and they're not going to, refuse someone that needs help, whether they're gay or straight or trans or not or whatever. But the mere fact that there's a law that supports that, it really concerns me. And they also passed the sports law too, that trans kids can't play on. I don't know how the bill or the law exactly reads, but they did pass that, where the issue of trans kids playing with regular kids and it not being a fair playing field. So, someone like Jazz, who went on blockers prior to adolescence, to me, she is on an equal playing field with the other girls. I think it's really case by case. And yes, of course, it needs to be regulated, but to pass a law saying that, if you're a trans kid and you want to play sports, you can't play on the team, I think is another way of singling us out, making us separate, kind of like the outcast. And so there's some stuff going on in this country that is quite disturbing. And you talking about the George Floyd situation, that then got me to thinking about these other things. So, yeah, I'll toss it back to you.
Okay, so you know what? Actually, the thing that I'm thinking about is something that I talked about 25 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe. I was 21 years old, so do the math. I'm almost 49, 47, whatever. Anyways, I talked about having a completely different, separate network of people that are LGBTQ. And we don't need to subscribe to what they want us to do. It's time for us to step out and say, fuck you. It really is. So maybe we should start our own thing and monetize it in a way that they understand that they're missing out on it. We could have our own gay this, lesbian this, trans this, bi this, IAQ this, nonconformity this, whatever label you want to put on it. Because if they want to separate us out and try to pass judgment, guess what? From what I understand, I think one of the biggest things in the Bible was judge not, lest ye be judged. I think. I might be mistaken. I mean, I do have my Bible sitting right here, but I mean, I'm just saying, judge not lest ye be judged. So if you are a Bible person, a Bible thumper, and you want to focus on the stuff that makes you feel comfortable, you go ahead and do that. But if you believe in those words that you're reading, then you're going to have to answer at some point. And I feel real comfortable. Answering to Jesus and answering to God. And whichever God someone believes in, they're going to answer to that one. Whether you're Hindu or Buddha or whatever religion that there is, you're going to answer to whatever your higher power is. So, but if you want to start spreading all the hate from whatever that religion is, and it changes from religion into something else. And it's kind of a little bit ironic because with religion, people who were religious were vilified before. So now the vilified turned into people who vilify other people.
That's so true. I mean, take the Buddhist religion, for instance. And right now in Myanmar, the Buddhist majority, they have basically committed genocide against the Muslim minority. They're called the Rohingya people. And, Buddhism is supposed to be, peaceful, loving religion. You go within, meditation, all of that. Look, so, anything can be used to be powerful, to suppress people. I mean, the Bible was used to justify slavery. So, it's all relative, and it's all how you use a particular thing. But yeah, oh my God, I tell you, I mean, when you look at the world and what's going on, what about Russia and what they did to that doctor? Did you hear about that? Oh my God, the doctor that helped Putin's supposedly his opposition, the guy that was poisoned, and they were able to rush him to Germany for health care, and he saved his life. Russia has now gone to Germany and killed him, killed the doctor. Talk about fucking balls. and talk about, I mean, and then these people, you know what kills me? It just to the core of my soul, when it's hypocrisy in an evil manner. You know, because I think in different ways we all can be hypocritical, but when it's hypocrisy in with blatant evil,
Like
um,
evil intentions.
evil intentions and evil actions, because then Putin sits up there like, what? We didn't do anything. What are you talking about? No, poison? Kill somebody? Oh, please, no. We never would do any of that. Or you have the Arabian prince. What? Someone was slaughtered in my embassy? What? They were chopped up in my embassy and you didn't fucking know? Please, come on. Cut the bullshit. All right. Listen, I might not be some Saudi Arabian rich princess, but I am smart. I have intelligence, and you can't give me bullshit. You can't piss on my face and tell me it's raining. Come on. And so it just, when I think about the bullshit and the evil and the really the horrific things that are happening in the world, and then people, they sit there like, what are you talking about, huh? No, no. The North Korean leader. Oh, my brother was poisoned in the airport. Wow, I wonder who did that. Come on. Come on. Oh, such hypocrisy. That's why, you know what? I know that overall, I mean, I've certainly made my mistakes in my life, but I know that overall I'm a person with good intentions. So I'm not too hard on myself anymore, especially when you have assholes like Putin and the North Korean leader, and the Saudi Arabian prince that are killing people and acting like la 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 la. I'm a man of God. Oh yes, I'm holy.
Well, the fun. Oh my God, I think I'm starting to rub off on you. I feel bad because you just did what I would usually say. How about we shift focus onto something very super positive?
Sure, I love that.
Your show
on me.
Yes, your show just started last Thursday on the E Network with oh goodness gracious,
Andy Cohen.
And you are not on the first episode. However, they did show a little snippet. Do you have any idea when they're going to be focusing on this lovely beauty that sets before us on a weekly basis?
Flattery, I tell you, you know how to ego stroke me. And I love getting my ego stroked. So anyway, no, I don't know. I mean, I do know that obviously I'm going to be featured because he was, promoting the show and they were using my image. So I know I'm going to be on there, but I'm not sure what episode. I think there are 6 or 7 episodes. So who knows? But I'm honored. I'm honored because it's about 30 years of reality TV, the most memorable people, and I'm under the category of inspirational. So
stop there. Don't go any further than that because I don't want you to mess it up because you are inspirational. Don't add the extra with it because I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you with that. Let's move forward because I know where your mouth is going to go moving forward with that. Let's focus on another great thing too. With our 50 states in the United States, as well as all 5 territories, a shout out to, I'm going to just do a shout out to like 4 or 5 because there's a lot of people who are jumping in with double digits. So a shout out to Gay, Illinois. Thank you very much for following, as well as Gay, Puerto Rico, Who would have figured? I don't know what's going on.
Hey.
Gay Montana. Gay Montana. And Gay Oklahoma.
Yay!
Gay Oklahoma. So let's not forget about Gay Tennessee, Gay Kentucky, Gay Ohio, Gay Colorado, and Gay Maryland. So, and Gay Minnesota. So thank you all for jumping on board and following and liking and watching our show. We would love to talk to you. If you're interested in joining the show, please reach out to us. Joseph at MySouthernExposure.site, Raji at MySouthernExposure.site. Oh, go ahead, girl.
No, I was just gonna say Minnesota. I can't do the Minnesotan accent. Minnesota. I'm not making fun of you. I just like the accent. That's all.
It is a cute accent. It is a cute accent.
But they don't.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit of Canada. It's a little bit of Canada is what it is, and then you got to toss in the Canada, and then you toss in a little bit of cheese. So that's where you get that Minnesota accent.
The
You got to put a little ooh in the duck.
Minnesota. But
In the Minnesota. In the Minnesota. We love you, gay Minnesota.
We love you, gay.
And we love your cheese.
Mm.
We love your cheese, especially. That's for sure. But
Especially if it's down here. Yeah, but the one in the refrigerator, we don't want that. We don't want the other one.
we don't want that from under cheese.
Clean, clean, clean. Okay, clean.
We don't want that from under
We
cheese.
want clean boys from Minnesota.
Oh, good Lord. Jesus
No,
Christmas.
honey, you're gonna take the clean boys from Minnesota. I'm gonna take the clean poppies from Puerto Rico.
No, I got enough going on. I already got enough going on. I don't need any more people around at this point. I don't need any more, that's for sure.
Hey, papi.
Oh, stop it. All right, so let's talk about the senator that got arrested in handcuffs because she knocked on the other senator's door. This is a senator walking down a hall and knocking, not saying, I'm going to kill you, or I want to take your lectern, or with guns and knives and podium stand breaking through your door. This is a senator dressed up at work with a face mask on, by the way. Thank you very much for doing that, young lady. You did a good job. So she walks down the hall and just simply, can I talk with you about something? Can we talk? Is it okay? Oh, yes, I'm a person of color, so I guess I have to put my hands behind my back because you're gonna arrest me now. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I wonder if it was a white lady, blonde hair and blue eyes, that walked down that hall and knocked on the door in the same manner that she did if they would have handcuffed her. No, they arrested her because she's a black woman. She had, I think she had braids. I mean, you know, come on. I mean, she wasn't being disorderly. What the hell was that? You want to know what it was? It was racism. That's exactly what it was. And I don't want to hear all these excuses. Oh no, all the damn excuses trying to cover up the fact that this fucking system is racist. Okay, not all of it, not all the time, but it exists, and we need to be real about it. Anyway.
No, it is true. I mean, it is actually. I know that you're pissed off about it because you got really quiet really quickly. And I know when you get pissed off, you usually stop talking. As opposed to me, I just keep letting my my little lips keep moving. So first of all, I think it's hypocritical, extremely hypocritical, that Okay, so you couldn't arrest anybody on January 6th that day? You had to wait for days to go by, even though, 150 people got injured? Did anyone get injured by her knocking on somebody's door?
I
Did
know.
someone get injured? I mean, besides the wood on the door, it got a little bruised, apparently, possibly. So I apologize for the community of the wood people that unfortunately the wood got bruised by someone knocking on you. We greatly apologize from the foundation of the Wood Appreciators Association. So we reach out to you.
Help.
I want to offer an olive branch, pun intended, that knocking on the wooden door did not offend you too harshly. But I mean, I'm just kind of curious for a friend. What was wrong with knocking on a door from one colleague to the other colleague in order to get arrested just to ask a question? It shouldn't be that simple. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, is what I should say. It should be very simple. It should not be hard to be able to communicate with another person, whether you agree with them or not. You were elected in the position that you have of power. Don't be a fucking douche, and that's exactly what happened. You were a fucking douche, whoever you were. You got her arrested, she got put in handcuffs, and you should be ashamed. And I presume that you're going to have a lot of kneeling being done if you pray to God. So you better start kneeling now. All right, let's move forward, I should say. Forward. I should say forward. Because I wanted to talk about the Proud Boys walk with the resistance. I don't know exactly what I meant with that, but I wrote it down. So I'm a little confused with what I meant, but it was following this situation. I think it was a correlation between the two, that the Proud Boys were allowed to do whatever they wanted to walk in, and they didn't get arrested. So let's move on to the next topic because I don't want to beat myself up like a horse.
Well,
let's move forward to Megan. What were you going to say?
What I want to talk about is I want to talk about the situation on the talk, honey.
And it's on here.
Good.
You go ahead. You go. So I'll scratch it off the list. You go. You go, girl.
Well, okay. So now I can't even get her name out my mouth.
Well, I call her Sharon.
Osbourne.
I call her Sharon Stupid Ass is what I call her now. I call her Sharon Stupid Ass, and I call the other one Piece of Shit Morgan. Piece of Shit Morgan and Sharon Stupid Ass.
Okay, so this is the thing. Up until this time, I never really thought, I didn't get the impression that she was racist. Okay. Now I know with some people, especially old school of a certain generation, they're used to just talking a certain way, and a lot of times they don't think about it, or they don't think about the repercussions that it can have in today's world, because that's some of that stuff that they said maybe 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it was acceptable. Like people, it was socially acceptable. But now there's things that you can't say in the world that we live in today, because racism is, people are being held accountable for their racist actions. That includes.
I disagree with you with this part, though. This is the part that I disagree with, is that it never should have been acceptable in the first place.
Oh, I'm not saying it was acceptable, especially to someone of color. I'm just saying that socially people could do it and get away with it back then and don't have any repercussions.
But does that give people a free pass that they can just say that everyone else did it, so I should do it?
It doesn't. But I think it explains why some of these people of a certain generation, they say things a certain way and they don't necessarily mean it per se, or they're made out to be more racist than what they really are. um, the thing about Sharon Osbourne is I've never got that vibe from her, but the shit is hitting the fan because people are coming out now and saying, like, some of her past co-hosts are coming out and saying that she made very inappropriate racist comments in the past. So, if she is or if she isn't, she should have known fucking better. Okay. She is on national TV 5 days a week. She's in a position in the public eye for many years. This isn't just like this year. I mean, she's been in the public eye for many years. And so she should have known better. And now she's going to pay for it because, they definitely cut ties with her, and she'll be okay, honey. She's rich and all of that. But I don't know. Um, I think her reputation is a little tarnished now. What to me really, where she really messed up is I don't know if you saw the clip where Cheryl Underwood and her were talking. The black,
Oh, it was brutal. It was brutal.
the black comedian, and she started getting a little emotional, and then Sharon Osbourne, she's like, oh, don't try and start crying now. Don't try and start crying. If anyone should be crying, I should be the one that's crying. And so, I mean, there's a way to say things, and that was certainly not the right way to say it. So, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I agree with everything that you just said, but I'm going to say a little bit more crassly, to be honest with you. So, I think that piece of shit Morgan and Sherrod stupid ass should both go away together on an abandoned island, or maybe they can just go to Uranus together with the entire Trump family. So I think that might be the best salvation or answer to the problem. I think what had happened.
What?
And I understand what you're saying. What had happened was, while I pat my weave, what had happened is that people are now quote unquote woke. The slaves have woken. We have woken up. We are done being the slaves. We are done being castaways. We are done being pushed aside. We are starting to talk to each other. Even though we don't necessarily agree with everything that each of us think, we're starting to talk to each other because we know how to actually communicate face to face, not necessarily on the internets, on the sex tubes, on the Facebooks, whatever's, all the different names that are out there. So it's not about all that. It's about a grassroots effort that we are done. We are tired. It's time to take control of the white supremacy behavior. And the part that is disturbing is that some people that are white are actually nice. But for the most part, there's a lot of mean white people who want to kill people that are black or Asian or other races just because they don't understand it. There's a lot of really good white people out there, but a lot of quote unquote people that are making the stink, so to speak, I should say, are the ones that are the extremists that hate anything unless it's white and this and that and the other. But there's a lot of really nice white people out there. So I feel bad for those people that are understanding and open and want to be involved and help and nurture and all those kind of things. So this whole situation, what's going on, is part of what was ingrained in her twisted little mind, just like piece of shit Morgan and Sharon stupid ass I think they should both just go away to Uranus, not Uranus, that's for sure. Definitely not my anus. Maybe they can go down the orange tube to the orange monster anus instead. I think that would be absolutely hot on spot, the orange tube anus for all of those people that think like that. But I think the part that's disturbing is that you're a person of a certain age, just like I am. And the fact that we can rationalize that it's acceptable for other people to act and talk and respond in such a negative fashion that we rationalize it and we don't actually want to point blame. We don't want to, I don't want to hold people responsible. You don't want to hold people responsible. But the fact of the matter is that someone needs to be held responsible. You said what you said. You did what you did. You can't run away from it. It might take 20 years to get to you, but guess what? It's ingrained in your body, in your core. Bad karma comes back 20-fold, honey. You can't make that go away. I could have a little off-color joke with you, like I have had many times. I've had off-color jokes with many people over the years, jokingly, and said things that weren't necessarily quote unquote appropriate. But the fact of the matter is that people know in my core that I don't agree with any racism or anything that's violent or anything like that, just like you. We might joke about things or say things and cajole. Is that the correct term? Cajole? Like joke around, cajole? Like kid, have fun or say things. But when it's elevated to the level of what had happened to undermine the integrity of Meghan Markle, to quote unquote hold up on a post the Queen. So she didn't succeed. Well, she did succeed, I guess. So the first quote unquote peasant girl was successfully killed and murdered. There's no way to go around it. Princess Diana successfully killed and murdered. So then let's do it a second time. Let's have some fun. So you're going to be mad that someone calls you out on it before they get murdered? Fuck you, queen bitch. That's my perspective.
And the irony is, during the interview, they didn't really throw the Queen under the bus. They were
not at all.
They were very, very respectful and careful with when it came to talking about the Queen. Okay, and but the fact is, I mean, it's common sense. If you look at the royal establishment over the centuries, I mean, come on, the racism has got to have been there, and I'm sure it's still there. And so all Meghan was doing was, to me, just calling it out. And, you know, but see, this is the thing too. People don't like to be called out. I mean, remember when you were a kid and you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar, and then, you know, you're getting a scolding for whatever? You didn't like it. You don't want to be like called out. And that's what happens, I think, with a lot of people. They know it's wrong. They know these things are happening, but it's like they don't want you to talk about it. Like just don't talk about it. And you know, and when you don't talk about it, you basically are complicit. You know, if you're going to kind of just go along with it, there's some complicitness there. So if something is wrong, that's like me seeing someone being murdered, and I sit there and I don't call 911, or I don't try to get some help. Okay, in a way, I was complicit. I mean, not to the level that the person that's doing the murdering is, but it's like you're going along with the negative behavior that's happening. So that's what I mean. Like, people of color have had enough. I mean, we are living in the times where shit is going to be called out. It might have not been called out before, and we may have not had the leverage that we have to call it out before, but now we do. And so it's happening, and a lot of white folks are scared. I think, when you were used to being like in the supremacist, like in power,
In charge.
yeah, in charge or in power. I mean, because hey, listen, let's face it, there's poor white people, okay? So, but the fact is, what I'm saying is that the fact that they're born white, even though they're in poverty and they're poor and all of that, uh, and they're dealing with their issues, the fact that they're born white still gives them a little bit of privilege over someone of color.
That's not a little bit of privilege, honey. That's entitled. That's called white entitlement. There's not a little bit of privilege. That's white entitlement. They have, okay, so let's put this in a scale, because you're saying it in a way that's really polite. I'm going to just say it in a shitty way. So if you're a person of color, you're 0. If you're a person that's white, you're 10. So as soon as you're born, you come out person of color, you're 0. And as soon as you come out, you're white, you're a 10. That's what the scale is. And if anyone wants to candy coat the shit, you're fucking fucked up or deluded, or you need to be on some more medication, personally. So, but please continue.
Oh God, Joseph. Sometimes the way you say stuff. I mean, I'm like, it's just funny the way it comes out. But yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's different levels to it, and depending on where you come from and how, they operate in that particular environment and society and all of that. I mean, there's so many different levels and I would say situations per se. So you can't, like, we're talking in general, because there are exceptions to everything. So, but in general, that's basically how it is. And what's happening?
That's just but by the same way, you don't have to rationalize what I just said. I apologize. I'm just saying my personal perspective, but I'm happy that you're lightening it up a bit. But
no,
go ahead.
No, honey, no. I don't need to lighten you up. You do your thing. But I'm just responding to what you said in the way that I would do it. So, but when you look at the world, I mean, come on. What was it about the Europe? Yeah, take that drink, honey. What was it about the European people, right, that made them decide that they were going to take over the world or try to conquer the whole world, and not do it through alliances, like forget the alliances, like creating alliances with the different cultures. No, do it in brutal, horrific ways. Okay, so if
conquer the world, conquer the world
in brutal, horrific ways. And so it's not like, oh, hi, well, I'm from such and such, and you're, from such and such. Why don't we like collaborate? No. It's like, hi, I'm taking your shit, okay? And you're gonna be my slave. And I mean, so what? I don't know what it was. And if you look at the colonization that happened in the world, it was like 5 main countries. I think 5. It was England, it was France, it was Spain, Portugal, Holland, the Dutch, and 6, and Italy. I think Italy had a couple countries that it colonized, but for the most part,
I think Ireland too. I think Ireland had something to do with it too.
Oh, maybe so.
Ireland, I think.
Well, remember Ireland.
Might have been. I don't know for sure.
Well, remember Ireland is Northern Ireland is part of the UK, the United Kingdom. So maybe they did.
Oh, that's the Norwegian part. The Norwegian part. The Norwegian part.
The new reason. So anyway, you look at that because all right, go around the world and look at the countries, right? Okay, so take South America, Central America. Spain had most of all those countries except Brazil. The Portuguese had Brazil, right? Um, take look at the Caribbean. If you go island to island, Jamaica, the British had Jamaica. If you go to Haiti, the French had Haiti. You go to Dominican Republic, the Spaniards had Dominican Republic. Trinidad, the British had Trinidad. Barbados, the British. And it just goes on. Puerto Rico, the Spain, the Spaniards. So it was like India. The Brits had India. So if you just look, I could go on and on and on. Then you have Vietnam. France had Vietnam for 100 years. Okay, so I mean, it just goes on and on. And I googled recently what countries in the world have never been colonized, and I think only 4 came up, 4 or 5. I remember Tonga was one of them. Tonga's a little country in the South Pacific. But yeah. So it's just really, I think Ethiopia was another one too. But it's just when you look at the history, and we're going way back, folks. Okay, so hey, it happened. It is what it is, and that's how things played out. But I'm just saying, like, what I question is, what was it in these people that made them decide that they were going to conquer the world and do it in such horrific ways? And I just have to wonder, like, I don't know what that's about. Because, like, I just, as a person, I don't think I could see myself doing that. Like, going to some place and just deciding, oh, I'm going to, like, fucking take over it, and I'm gonna slaughter you people, and I'm gonna make the ones that I don't slaughter slaves. I mean, I don't. That type of behavior is not in me. So I don't know where that came from and what may have caused it, because every action has a reaction. But it's just interesting when you think about how it all played out. Oh, I think China's another one.
I agree with
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think that part of the mental disconnect from normal human being development is interbreeding. Like, if you have sex with your sister, I'm just saying, or your brother, or your mother, or your uncle, or your father, or your cousin, and then you have some kind of, I'm just saying that apparently happens. I didn't realize that it does.
Well, okay, so yeah, in my family, cousins, it's happened with cousins, but well, there's a saying, cousins and cousins make dozens, but no, it's happened with cousins, like second and third cousins.
Well, that's that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that at all. That's like a different thing. Like, if you don't know about the other, and then something happens, that's something different.
No, they knew about it. It's just it's cultural. It's cultural. Because there's certain cultures that took place in. But when you're talking about, like, when you're talking about like immediate family, like sister, brother, mother, father, even first cousin is a little tricky, because Britain was having a problem with the Indian and Pakistani community marrying first cousins, and the children were being born with this genetic disorder. Not all the kids, but a lot of the kids were being born with this genetic disorder because the bloodline is just too close, So yeah, so back to that. Yeah, maybe that the inbreeding did have something to do with it.
Oh, good God. Jesus Christmas, holy moly. By the way, today is the second day of Passover. Let's pass over this conversation and talk about, let's pass over this conversation and talk about something that's different. Holy moly, pudding pie. Jesus Christmas. I don't even know what to say. So let's talk. Oh, it's kind of strange to bring up this topic. So I'm gonna bring up a different topic instead. Let's talk about gardening and butterflies instead. So we can segue into the next topic, because the next topic is much heavier, and we're both laughing, and it's not appropriate to go right into this next topic because it's a really shitty topic. So, out of curiosity, what have you eaten lately? And are you cooking at home? Or are you going out to eat? Or are you having food delivered? Or what's going on?
Well, I'm doing both. I'm doing a little bit of both. I went to, you had brought up me getting together with the girls yesterday, two really nice trans women in our community. And we went to brunch at Voulez-Vous. It's in Wilton Manors. It's called Voulez-Vous. It's a French cafe. And so it was pretty good. I played it safe. They had crepes, different types of crepes. They had quiche, and of course they had like the typical croissant. I played it safe. I got a croissant. But you know what? The best place to get a croissant from is from a French place, because that's where they, and I mean, it was delicious. The croissant was so good. And but I've been doing a little bit of both. I've been cooking some at home and ordering. I had a taste for TJ's Japanese and Thai restaurant. And so I stopped on the way home today and I got some miso soup. Oh my God, that's so soothing to me. It's so good. And I got 3 hand rolls of, don't kill me, y'all, all you vegetarians out there. But I got some eel. They were hand rolls, so with the rice and the vegetables and then the barbecue eel. It was so good. Mm-hmm. What have you been eating?
Well, first of all, I do not go out at all yet, and I probably won't for a while, but I do pick up food from places, or I have stuff dropped off at the property here. So they have a little spot, they drop stuff off, they don't knock on the door, it gets dropped off, and that's it. But for the most part, we just make all of our own food. We don't grow our own chickens, not yet. But we do grow a lot of our own spices and vegetables and everything else. So I think it's good to do.
I just have to say, I couldn't live on a farm, because if I lived on a farm, I wouldn't eat meat. I just have to say that.
You could. No, you could. You could live on a farm with some meat.
It's too close for comfort.
No.
I can't.
You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about it that way. First of all, you know what? I'm going to do a test with you one of these times. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do a test with you. I'm going to give you a filet mignon, and then I'm going to give you a portobello mushroom.
Oh yeah. I would love that, because I love mushrooms. And
okay, but I'm not going to tell you which is which.
Okay.
And then you're gonna have to say which one tastes better,
Okay.
or which one is
I,
better than the other.
I'd
And
love,
you're not gonna know the difference.
I'd love to.
Because if you do a taste test like that, and the funny part is a lot of people who like meat, like me, I love meat. I'm learning every day about how you can replace meat with something else. I'm talking about cauliflower instead of chicken wings.
Well, listen, have you ever had the Impossible Burger from Burger King?
Oh, I'm not gonna do that, honey.
Well,
I'm not gonna.
well, let me just tell you.
Is it good?
It tastes like a burger, and it's all vegetable. It's all vegetarian, and I swear the shit tastes like a Whopper. I had to like look. I mean, because when I don't know how they did it, but they perfected the taste of an actual burger, and it's a vegetarian sandwich. It's called the Impossible Burger. Just
Wow.
just like a Whopper. You would think you were eating a Whopper.
That's
So,
interesting. From where?
so I could do that. I could become a vegetarian if I could find stuff like that to kind of give me the taste and like with the portobello mushrooms and stuff. I could do that. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm toying with it. I don't know. I just I couldn't be a vegan, y'all. I'm
I
sorry.
like some meat in my mouth, honey. I like meat in my mouth.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I do.
I'm still toying with it. I'm toying with it. I don't know, but it's just one of those things that it just I think about it sometime and I'm like, I have a friend that used to be a radical vegetarian, a radical vegan, radical vegan, and now she's back to eating meat, honey. And she's like, I was one of those radical vegans and this and that. And now she's back to eating meat, steak, and chicken and all kind of stuff. So anyway.
Wow. I can appreciate both, to be honest with you. I think it's good to do a little bit like 50% of this, 50% of that. You can just flow from each to the other. But I think it's actually really good for people to know how to plant their own tomatoes, grow their own spices, get their own holistic medicine. I'm talking about like stuff that just from the earth. I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm talking about everything else. So it's not legal to talk about that topic yet. But I'm talking about, asparagus and Brussels sprouts and cabbage and potatoes and beets and lettuce. They can take what's left over from something, carrots, and turn it into another product. You could buy it, chop it off, plant it, and it turns into something else. Well, I should say the same product, but just a smaller version. So the part that I think is interesting is that a lot of people don't even think about it. They just chop off that little part and throw it away.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I also think it's important for people that decide to become vegetarians and vegans that they study and learn how to get the proper nutrients. Because I have another friend who's been a vegan for a few years. Well, more of a vegetarian. And she just went to the doctors and she's really anemic. And so the doctor has her on like some I guess vitamins that were prescribed. And I told her, I said, girl, it's because you are like a vegetarian now and almost a vegan. She's almost a vegan, but not quite fully. But I said, you have to find things that are going to give you the iron because she's anemic. And I said, so you got to eat, if you're not going to eat meat, you need to eat like a lot of vegetables, like the spinach.
Kale,
Yeah.
spinach, kale.
Yes. Yeah, I said, I think even beans too, right? Aren't some beans they have the protein, I think, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yes, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, specifically, iron is from like there's only certain ones that have iron in them, but by the same token, salt does, table salt does.
Uh-huh.
But there's a way to work around that that you have like salt that you can turn into, you can make it more iron. But for the most part, most people do not get enough iron on the face of the planet. Most of us do not get the intake. I think it's supposed to be like 745 milligrams that we're supposed to have. I think if my memory serves me properly, per day. And that iron can come from direct iron or things that you eat that basically get decomposed and turned into iron. And actually, some sunlight, vitamin D, sometimes gets turned to. It's a whole compilation of things that get turned into iron. But iron is a really important thing. We have to have iron. Like if there was like a little iron ball pill, like swallow a little boiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I told her, because when she said, "Oh my God," the doctor told me that I'm really anemic. I said, "Girl, it's because of you haven't been getting enough iron and also protein." I said, "You gotta try and eat more of that stuff that's gonna give you that, and then of course take the vitamins until she can get herself back up." But yeah, so when you do these things, you really have to think about, like, okay, if I'm going to stop eating this, how am I going to get the nutrients that I got from this particular thing from something else, like to balance it with your body. So, yeah.
I got some suggestions.
God. Oh dear Lord.
There's a lot of protein.
I didn't even see that until I was so busy talking, and then I noticed. Oh my gosh. So what's the next topic?
Hey. Well, okay, let's talk about COVID vaccines, because there are several that are out there, and you have a personal perspective in reference to taking one. Everyone already knows I'm not going to take one ever. So, but it doesn't mean that I don't respect the people's perspective who want to take one and have one. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to bring up the possible contagions or problems that may happen or arise later as a warning. So let us know how your vaccination process worked so far, and was there only one option for you, or two, or three? Because Moderna and the other one were two different things, and then the Johnson & Johnson is one shot. Please share with us.
Yeah, well, they only offered, I could only get Moderna where I went. So I got the Moderna, and I have to get a second shot in about 4 weeks. But my arm's a little sore. I'm feeling some soreness, and a little, like, I guess a little fatigued. I'm starting to feel a little fatigued, but for the most part, I mean, everything went smoothly. I had my injection, and then they made me wait about 20 minutes to make sure I didn't have a reaction right away. And so everything went smooth. And I think next week in this state, Florida, USA, it's going to go down to 18 or older on the 5th of April. So, yeah, interesting. You're going to get it. I'm going to take
you. That's good.
I'm going to take you with me when I go for the second one, and you can get a nice one.
No, I'll be more than happy to take you. That's for sure. Make certain that they don't kill you. But by the same token, I do want to share a COVID story. I don't know if I told you a whole thing, but I believe that I text messaged you part of it. I have been working at a local gas station. I will not name the gas station at this point yet until I think that it's necessary to kind of fix things. I don't know how to say it properly. So the reality is that 2 people out of the 5 people that worked there got COVID. And I found out about it. And as soon as I did, I left. And I contacted the owners and let them know that there was a problem and that I would not be returning until I know that it's safe. And I don't work there like a whole day. I work there like an hour at a time. I go in, do some work, leave, come back for another hour, leave, come back for another hour, leave, that kind of a situation. So it's not like I'm there for 8 hours a day or 5 hours a day or 6 hours a day. By the way, is that a new TV I see behind your right boob?
Ah,
You got a new TV?
no, I had that. I could use a new one. Hey, anyone that wants to donate me a new TV, a new microwave, you could throw.
Oh, stop it.
You could throw a
Stop it, honey. Because no, but I never saw that TV behind your. I never saw that TV behind your boob before. So, anyways, I'm sorry. I got this. I got boob distracted. Anyway, so the thing is that I explained to the people who own the property that it was very important that they protect people who work there, as well as people, the customers. And I believe that we're moving forward, or I should say forward, in a positive direction together to figure out a way to mitigate the spread of the virus at that location. However, with personal knowledge from the people that communicate with me directly, it doesn't sound so good. So it's very disturbing to know that the people who work there 8 hours a day, 2 out of the 5 people got sick and only pop in and out. So I'm like, I'm not going to be around nobody. I'm not going back to that location. I'm not going to be around. I want to know that the people that work there have been tested and that they're safe and clean and clear. And as a vendor like myself, just like, let's say, any beer company, any liquor company, any chip supplier, whatever. I'm not saying the names of those places. I'm not saying the name of the place that I do the work for, just out of common decency. Unless things get if they don't get fixed, then next week, our final episode, I will be calling the shit out. Public knowledge for everybody, and I might put out the camera as well as lighting in front of the location. If you don't fix your shit, you're going to be seeing me out there like News Channel 5, News Channel 7, News Channel 10, News Channel whatever. So fix your shit, otherwise we're going to have a problem. But what do you think about the liability issues for companies if they know the people that work for them have the COVID? Do you think that it should be necessary for them to let the other employees know, as well as the patrons who come in and out? Or do you think that should just be a blank slate? You don't ask, you don't tell.
Oh, no. I know, wasn't there a law passed in Florida that employers aren't responsible for employees that get COVID? I think that was passed. But I do think morally it is on the it's a responsibility of the employer to definitely let the employees know if someone's tested positive. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as an employer, from if I knew that someone had tested positive and I didn't inform my other employees, I couldn't live with myself in peace. Like I that would really bother me. So yeah, I definitely think it's something that has to be done, and this way, then the employee has the choice as to how they want to handle it, whether they want to continue working, if they take a leave of absence, quit, whatever the case may be.
What do you think about that same responsibility to the customers that come in and out?
Wow.
I know that's a hard topic. I
Well,
didn't mean to drop that on you
oh,
like
no,
that.
no, no, no. What it is when you open an establishment, you open it to serve the public, right? So if you get into trying to monitor whether people are positive or negative or what they have, it could get a little murky with that because, first of all, you'd have to access like their information, and someone could tell you they're negative when they're positive, and I mean it just gets a little murky. So I think the way to handle that is to just have universal precautions, like the social distancing, the mask, require all of that. But when you get into people, like, I'm not going to service you because you're positive with COVID. I don't know. I think that would just it would really it would be it would really open a can of worms, I think, because the like that would have been like, okay, um when HIV/AIDS came out, right? And businesses are like here to serve the public. And if you were someone gay, for a business to say, well, wait a minute, are you HIV positive or not? Because I don't know if I could get this thing. Because at that time, people didn't know how you got it. It was like a lot of mystery around it. That would have been borderline discrimination. And I think that's where.
Well, I mean, I appreciate exactly what you're saying. I do. I completely do. But I think that's like apples and oranges from my perspective, because HIV didn't kill people in 2 days.
Doesn't matter whether you have a
That
death sentence for a week or 2 days or 2 months. I mean, the fact is, if it was a virus that people didn't know about, the 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 at that time people were fearful. So the issue is, if you're a business, can you monitor people's positivity or negativity rates? And I don't think it's an area that you really can, as a person with a business, get into without getting into discrimination issues and issues with serving the public as a whole. And so I think it's really murky because at the time you didn't know if HIV could kill you in a day or 2 days or 3 days. I mean, it was so unknown. I'm talking about in the beginning, like in the 80s, like the middle 80s, when it came out, and it was like this, they called it this mysterious gay disease. That's even before it had a name. So, what I'm saying is, it's, I think the thing to do so that you don't offend people, at the same time you can run a business and serve the public in a fair manner, like, in an equal fair manner, would be to just take the precautions. Take the precautions, because the reason why I'm saying it gets really murky is, like, let's say I have a negative test, right? And then for some reason I get positive between now and tomorrow. And I go to a business now. I don't know I'm positive, but I go to a business for service. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know.
I do. No, I do. It's actually, it is really super murky. But what I want to do is separate the HIV stuff from what this current situation is, because it's like apples and oranges, completely separate. But I understand the connection or correlation between the two because it's not knowing about what's going on. At this point, right now, we know how to find, track, trace, record, and actually vaccinate against a virus that kills people within days. That's that warp speed, stupid orange faced monster shithead face that came up with this warp speed crap, which makes sense while it probably will not help anyone except for, let's see what the stock prices are because I have them already on here. Let's see what Moderna. Okay, so Pfizer is up to $36.60 per share. Let's see about the next one. So I got all you bitches on my list, honey. Sorry, I can't apologize for it. You're already on here, so you got a big company. I'm gonna find you. So Pfizer 36.62, Moderna $123.42. Johnson & Johnson, 166.4 cents. AstraZeneca, there's two different versions because they split the stock. $100 per share for one version and $50.81 per share. So out of those 5 shares, I should say, the 5 producers of the unquote miracle drug that's going to save the world. Okay. The only one making money are those companies. The only one making any money are the stock shareholders and those companies, honey. I hate to say that way, but it's true.
Okay.
And then someone posted something about that we knew about this disease years ago.
Okay, so
if we knew about it years ago, why didn't we already have a vaccinations process started before?
Well, I mean that's hearsay. I mean, do they have proof that they knew about it years ago? I mean, that's one person that posted something. I don't know. I mean, the fact is we know about it now. I'm a business owner, so I'm not going to serve anyone that hasn't been vaccinated. Joseph, I can't serve you. Raji, I'll serve you. So do I have a right to do that? And you really need the
Absolutely
that I have. Yeah, but do you see how it can get? Someone that you have chosen not to have the vaccine, right? That's your choice. So now I'm
right.
going to a business
Correct.
Because you didn't get the vaccine, I'm not serving you.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Just like you should be as well. Or no?
Well, what if that was across the board? If businesses had a right.
It should be that way across the board.
So
I think it should be that way across the board.
So you would just not be able to be served by the society? Like you couldn't go anywhere? Like you wouldn't be able to go anywhere?
I don't need to go anywhere.
Okay, so when you need
I don't need to go anywhere.
So what you gonna send? Who are you gonna send to get you groceries and
delivery? Or in
a store to get your beer and get your cigarettes and all of that.
Delivery.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I feel. That's why my thing of like a business monitoring it that way, I feel it could get really, really murky and complicated, and there would be people You're one person. There would be people that would say, I'm being discriminated against because I chose not to take the vaccine and that's my choice. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't get service at these stores if these stores are open to serve the public. So that's my argument.
Yeah, but it doesn't, I don't think it works that way though, Raji. I think it's the businesses decide what is acceptable or not acceptable. So let's use an example of one of my, yeah.
Go ahead, let me hear you.
Let's use an example of a friend of mine, we don't need to say their name, that the more that you let them get away with, the more that they request from you.
Mhm.
So, oh, I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to wear a mask. The masks are fake. The virus is fake and everything else. But oh, now I get the virus. Now you got to let me in, even though I never wore a mask in the first place. Guess what? Fuck you. That's the way I look at it. So the best thing for you to have done was wear a mask and you wouldn't have needed the virus. I should say vaccination.
But Joe,
that's the way I look at it.
But that's radical. What if the person wore a mask and they did what they were supposed to do and they still got tested positive? I mean, this issue could go across the board. What about the bakery that refused to do wedding cakes for gay couples when they were getting married? Is that okay too? I thought it was wrong because there are.
I thought it was wrong too.
But you just finished saying that a business has a right to decide who they want to serve and who they don't want to serve. That statement can be across the board with many different things, and that's why I'm saying if a business is open to serve the public, that, you know, when you start segregating and say, well, I'm going to serve this group and not that group and that group and not this group, it can really, I mean, I know it would cause a lot of controversy, conflict, and confusion. Because that very thing was the business saying, this is our business and we don't want to serve LGBTQ people. We have a right to decide that. Now that is the same thing as a business saying we don't want to serve people that haven't been vaccinated or people that have been positive with COVID.
I understand that completely. I totally do. The interesting part about that with the LGBTQ community is it's a $2 billion industry. So $2 billion a year just from focusing on LGBTQ. And there's a lot of people out there right now who think that they can stop us from doing what we want to do. I'm not discounting what you just said at all, because I agree with it. But by the same token, I shouldn't have to get a vaccination because you wanted to go on spring break. Sorry, honey. You wanted to get your nails done that look like corn Cheetos because you couldn't just cut your own fucking nails. I apologize. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying, I feel like some Fritos, like some people's nails look like Frito-Lay chips stuck on the edge of their toes.
Yeah.
How about you just clean your nails and you don't need to go anywhere? I understand completely what you're saying, and I do not disagree with it. And I completely agree with the idea of not discriminating. But, honey, we've been discriminated against our entire fucking life. Our entire fucking life we've been discriminated against. I'm not saying that we should flip around and discriminate against others, but by the same token, I am suggesting that we, people who have a brain in our head that don't tell, that people don't tell us what to do, that we make our own choice. Oh, let's go to the drive because everyone's sitting out on the drive. Let's all go out and sit and have a drink. let's all go out and sit and have a drink because XYZ says I should go to XYA this night because it's this person who's going to be performing because it's just perfect and marvelous. That's the part that I have the problem with. Like, I think the biggest illusion, or I should say, it's in the Bible actually, ironically, that it says the biggest illusion or the biggest falsehood that happens on the planet. I think the biggest falsehood, the biggest illusion is the false idea that this virus is not real, that it's okay, that everyone can just go back to normal. That's the part that scares me because I love you. I love a lot of other people. I love my partner. I love his mother. There's a lot of other people out there that I love. And a lot of people are just, not you, but I'm just saying a lot of other people not wearing masks, going around, oh, it's okay, because they're only getting part of the information. You know how to look for the additional information because you're smart. You know what to do. You're in contact with people. You know how to look for things that other people don't report. You're a completely different set of circumstance for other people. But for the most part, 90% of the people on the face of the planet want them to have a script. Let's say this is a script, just for an example. They want to, I wake up at 8 a.m. I go to lunch at 12. I go to dinner at 6. I go to sleep at 9. That's what they want. 90% of the people on the face of the planet want to have a schedule because they don't want to think about things that make them feel uncomfortable.
I agree with
So that's the problem, that's the part that I have the problem with. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I definitely agree with that one because it's about being in a box and not wanting to think outside the box because that box is your comfort zone. And for whatever reason, you're scared to look at things differently and look at things outside the box and expand your mind. A lot of people are like that. Yeah, a lot of people are like that.
Well, what do you think the responsibility factor is? Like, let's use an example, Ron Dick Satan. What do you think the responsibility factor is with a person who completely downplays a virus and then also helps perpetuate travel into an area where the virus is not quelled? It's still 5,000 people a day that get 100 people a day that are dying just in the state of Florida. It's been like that for the last 6 or 7 months, and sometimes it's like 200 people a day. And in the United States now we kind of calm down. Instead of it being 80,000 people, now it's down to 60,000 people that are getting it in the United States. And instead of it being like 2,000 people a day that are dying, now it's down to 1,000 people a day that are dying, which some people might say that is an acceptable number, like smoking a cigarette. If you smoke a cigarette and you die, you deserve it. That's my perspective. If you drink too much and you die, you deserve it. That's my perspective. So, what do you think about the responsibility of a governor of a state or the president of the United States in reference to controlling the governors to try to stop something from happening that is completely stoppable?
That is completely what?
That you can avoid. You can avoid it.
Oh, okay.
That's preventable. That's preventable.
Well, oh boy, I know what they're doing. They're looking at the numbers, That's what it's boiling down to. But you know, if you took those numbers and you applied it to your friends and family, like imagine losing 1,000 people in your life. Okay, I mean, please, I don't even think we really have. You know, well, a person's immediate circle, it doesn't even equal 1,000. But what I'm saying is, imagine that number in losses of loved ones, family, and friends for your life. That shit is not acceptable. And, you know, it's I would be outrageous. I know though the way they're looking at it is it's all about numbers and statistics, and they're looking at the population and the amount of people we have, you know, in this country as opposed to the level of virus and people infected and people dying. That's what they're doing. And so when you're looking at it strictly from a numbers perspective, then yeah, oh, it's just 1,000. But when you're if you look at it from the other perspective that I just spoke about, hell no. I mean, it's unacceptable. So that's what that is. That's what that is. And it comes down to money because you know how much spring break, I don't know the number, but can you imagine how much money it generates for South Beach, for the state? People flying in, you know, getting hotels, restaurants, drinking clubs, shopping, all that. All those thousands of people that went out on the beach and that are continuing to go out for spring break, the money that they're bringing to the Florida economy, specifically the South Florida economy. And so they're doing basically, they're putting lives over money over lives, basically. They're putting money over
Well,
lives.
yeah, that's the absolute opposite. That's the absolute opposite of what we're doing. But I do want to ask you about what you think of the most recent, I should say, senator that's Asian that was on the news earlier today. And she talked about when she unfortunately had the accident, got shut down, and she's paraplegic, the senator. And she talked about that she has her titanium legs instead of having the prosthesis, and that she likes having those because it feels like strength for her. And she talked about the fact of that Asian people don't want to be looked at as weakness. What do you think about as a partial cultural person like yourself, knowing about someone with so much strength that fought for the United States government, lost her legs, and is now a senator and is trying to fight for rights for Asian Americans?
Oh, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, anyone, no matter who you are, if you are faced with a horrific tragedy in your life, losing your legs or becoming paralyzed or whatever the case may be, and you're able to transcend and triumph over that scenario, that situation, and then go on to help others, that's absolutely phenomenal. That's like, to me, rising above your circumstances. And so I'm inspired by her story. I'm encouraged by her story. And I think she's going to continue to do some big, wonderful things because, I mean, hell, she could have easily said, just given up and said, fuck this. Like, so yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And there's another one as well. There's another one as well.
Oh, really? Okay. Uh-huh.
Well, an Indian, the very first Indian person who had ever been, I should say, historic Native American. Deb Haaland was the very first nominated for Native American as Interior Secretary as well. So first we had that situation going on with the Asian person who was also a veteran and had that. And now we also have the new person who stepped into the position and is the very first Native American to serve as Interior Secretary as well. So that's obviously those are two good things.
Mhm.
Reverting back to the border control, that's the reason I brought up both of those topics, and we can close out after that. There's a lot of, I should say, conjecture or misdirection in reference to the border.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't quite understand it. So from my understanding and doing research, October, November, December, January, February, March. Like you got 6 months when it gets cooler at the equator. Every year, no matter who the president is, there's some cool months. You got like 3 or 4 months where it's cool enough that you won't basically turn into sand as you're trying to cross the Rio Grande. I apologize about the rhyming because that was bad timing. Oh my God, it's even worse. Jesus Christ Almighty.
Ah, you're continuing to rhyme. But we get it. We get it. Yeah.
There's a joke with the topic though, but I mean, I was just trying to bring it up and talk about it in a way that is correct. So no matter who the president is, during certain times of the year, it's easier for people to travel.
Mhm.
And now the Republicans, like Ted fucking Cruz, I'm gonna call him Ted fucking Cruz because he's a fucking asshole. Ted fucking Cruz is basically turning stuff into stuff for no reason. I mean, I'm a little concerned, like, is your last name Cruz because you drove past somewhere? Or are you, not necessarily born in the United States, like from another country? Like, are you just cruising past the boulevard? Or is your last name Cruz just because you want to cruise past stuff and just eat a lot of food and be a white supremacist? So my question is to you, I apologize because I know I make you uncomfortable when I see you starting to rub your thighs. But my question is,
I'm just nurturing myself. Go ahead.
oh, I know. Maybe we should all see your nurturing. It would make it much more entertaining than me, that's for sure. My question for you is in reference to the border stuff that's going on. Do you think that it makes any difference whoever the president was at all? That's my first question, and I'll follow it up with a second.
Okay, so basically, I didn't know, that I'm really happy that you did the research and you saw that it's just this is the time of year that people find it easier to migrate because these folks are walking. They're not being driven or in a bus, in a bus or a car or on a train or in a plane. These people are literally walking. Okay. And we're talking like lots of miles. They're coming from,
thousands of miles.
Yeah, from Honduras, from Guatemala. I mean, it's a far distance to the American border. So it makes sense now that you say that you researched it and you're saying that around this time of year, for a very long time, no matter who the president has been, this is when a big influx of people come to the border because this is the time of year to do it. The conditions to walk that far are more, I guess, bearable because it's not as hot and brutal. So that makes sense. before you said that and gave that information, I was thinking that maybe the influx was not completely caused by, but the word got around in these countries that, oh my God, there's a new leader in America. Maybe you'll have a better chance of getting in. Go now. So, I mean, maybe there's possibly a little bit of that, but what you said and research makes so much sense to me. I mean, it really does. Because, think about walking all that way. And these people don't have like supplies. They have their little bag with their little bit of stuff that they carry with them. But, the food, the water, all of that basic bathroom, having to go, these people are out in the elements. So, yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. That would be the time that most of them would decide to make that walk and do the migration here to America. Um, I'm a little concerned, like I had said last week, with the influx because unfortunately, when you're bombarded and a system is overloaded, there are issues in the system that cause lack of care and the conditions maybe aren't the greatest. I heard someone today. I forgot what show it was on. Might have been on Good Morning America. Yeah, it was Good Morning. No, it wasn't. It was GMA3, the hour between 1 and 2. They were saying, and I forgot her name. She's the Muslim um, uh, congresswoman. Oh God, I forgot her name now. But she said that she visited one of the facilities. This is a nonprofit organization they're taking the kids after they leave the initial like immigration facilities, and that the conditions were a lot better at this particular facility. So maybe they're getting more nonprofits to step in and try and help with the overload. That would be great, so that the conditions aren't as harsh. But you got to think, these people, okay, think about it. Who picks up and leaves your home, right, to walk thousands of miles in the heat with very little resources? Who does that unless you are running from horrific circumstances? Okay. What parents would send their kids by themselves to do that unless they knew that they were sending their kids for a better life from what they were living in? So, for these people to be leaving and going through all of that, it's obvious that the conditions they're leaving are horrific. And so, hopefully we'll be able to process them in a better way. The conditions will be better. I know probably many of them are just happy that they get, I never understood those damn foil blankets. What the fuck? That doesn't even look like it's cozy and warm. I don't get, but the foil, whatever. I know it's for sanitary reasons or whatever, but I'm like, dear Lord, foil? What the hell? That's gonna keep me cozy and warm. But what I will say is that I know that, yeah, they're dealing with foil blankets and they're living in those little pods for the time being. But I bet you, in the majority of their minds, they're like, oh my God, I made it to America. I made it to America. And, it's just a matter of time for me to be processed in, and hopefully I'll have a better future. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think first of all, you brought up a lot of good points, and I was trying to research what you were saying while you said it. The first part was in reference to the actual mileage. It's 2,000 miles. 2,000 miles. So it takes 490 days or 88 days to walk from Honduras to the United States border.
How many days?
480, 490,
Over
more
a
than
year?
a year. Yes. $2,000 miles, honey. 2,000 miles.
Wow.
2,000 miles.
That's heavy duty. God
I mean, I don't know which part that I might be mixing up, and I apologize. And whoever is going to critique me, go ahead and send me something, and then I will respond favorably if I made a mistake. But what I'm looking at is 2,000 miles, 480 days, I think, unless I'm mistaken. But I mean, 2,000 miles.
Are you
Okay, so
sure
first of all, 2,000 miles.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well,
But-
anyway, we can research that and confirm that. But
Yeah, I mean, 2,000 miles.
it's a long
I
way.
mean, how many miles can you walk a day?
Yeah,
How many miles can you walk a day?
you're right. You're right. You figure
And it's on.
even if they do 20 miles, let's say 20 a day, if they do that, I'm just saying.
2,000 miles. Yeah, but I mean, but 2,000 miles
No,
in the heat as a 13-year-old child.
yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to figure out that if they did 20 miles a day,
I don't know the math.
huh?
20, 40, 60, 81. That's 5 days for 100 miles.
Okay.
So let's say 20 miles. Let's say 20 miles a day. Let's go with that. 20 miles a day. And that's 100. 20, 40, 60, 81.
No,
That's 5 days.
that would be
That's 5 days for 100 miles.
Yeah, but that we should do it by the week. So you figure 7 days, 700. 7 days at 20 miles a day, right?
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
not.
I'm gonna do it right now.
They're not going to take the weekend off. Okay, so it's every day they're walking. So you figure, but whatever.
Well, it says 100. Okay, let's go with 100. Let's go with 20 miles a day divided by 2,000 miles. That's 100 days.
Okay.
If you do 20 miles a day.
Okay. So give or take 100 to 150, because maybe people do like 10 or 15 miles a day. But because that over a year sounded a little too long. But you figure if it's 100 days, that's 3 months on the road, right? About 3 months, a little over 3 months. So, even if it's a 6-month journey, I mean, that's a long time still. That's still a long time. But yeah. So, okay.
And some of those people are children. Some of those people are children, though, adults. Like you're thinking about it like what you can do and what I can do.
No.
I can do 20 miles a day.
I couldn't do 20. I probably could do 10. I mean, the kids have a little more stamina. Maybe they do a little more. Because let me tell you, kids have a lot of kids have more energy than someone like myself at this point. So I think it depends on, the person's health, and all of that plays into it. But yeah, regardless, it's at least between 100 days and 200 days. Let's give it that, like about, 100 to 200.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time on the streets. And in the
So then when people bring up the idea that it just started to happen because of who the new president is, these people already started taking this trip 2 or 3 months ago.
They started in like December or November. No, like December, yeah. Wow.
So like twisting it around and turning it into who the president is and that the borders on out of control and all this kind of stuff is just a whole bunch of hyperbole and bupkis from my perspective.
Yeah.
So that's that's my perspective. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if you like it, and if you don't have to watch the show. You can just unsubscribe and unfollow. The good thing is that we have more than 100 brand new subscribers to our show, out of the 55, I should say 50 states of the United States. I have a list of 25 of them. So 23 of them have more than 20 people per state. The one that has the most is Illinois. Illinois, is that the correct way to say it? Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. Illinois. Let's give some Illinois for Illinois. So 63 subscribers and followers. Thank you so much. Montana, right after you. I should say Rico, right after you. Thank you so much. Me no habla español bien. I think that means I said I don't speak Spanish well.
Very
I
good.
apologize if I didn't say it properly. No habla español bien. However, it does not.
No habla español muy bueno.
Oh, no habla español muy bueno.
Bueno.
Muy bueno. No, muy bueno. Well, look at that. That's what happens when you have a international star like Rajina Ryan Singh, who blesses you on a weekly basis to just spend time with you as you sit in your little office and reach out to people, and I get a chance to spout out all my silly thing, but at least you respect those, and I do with yours as well. The whole point of the show is that we can reach out to people in communities where they don't have any LGBTQ representation at all, and we can hopefully help them be able to reach out to other people as well. So I'm going to leave it up to you to say goodbye. Thank everybody for watching the show. We have one more week of you seeing us in this current situation. Hopefully, when we come back, we'll be in a very fancy studio. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, so well, okay, I just want to ask anyone out there. I was watching the show, oh, I forgot the name of it now. You know, where they bring ideas to these rich business people and then they try to get investors. Oh, I can't remember the name. Anyway, it comes on once a week. It's a weekly show. But this couple brought the idea of it's called a pizza cupcake, right? Now, it wasn't literally the consistency of a cupcake. It was more like the consistency of like a brioche bun with like bagel type consistency, but it was round like a donut or a cupcake. And the Shark Tank, that's what it was. The Sharks were sampling it and they were like, this is so good. So I looked to see if I could find it because it's killing me. I want to try it now. And I don't know if it's probably not out in the market widespread yet. Probably they're just launching it. But anyone out there that comes across the pizza cupcake, hey, send us a message. Let me know how it tastes and where I can get it from because I want to taste it. And on that note, I want to thank you all for watching another week of My Southern Exposure. And hopefully you were able to handle all of our thought-provoking and entertaining conversation. And on that note, we'll see you next week. And I just want to wish you love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings.
I'll make you some little pizza thingy majiggies. I'll make some for you.
Oh, great.
I'll make some pizza thingy majiggies for you. No, I can do that. That's simple.